Welcome back to Sunday Vibes, one and all, the show where you send any questions and we provide some answers. Today in the pub, George Wright replaces Patrick Van Straan, Christopher Hamill, and this shirt are sat to my right, and the knees are back out. Get over it. First question comes from Vibav Badri, who says, why are England struggling to produce managerial talent on the level of countries like Spain, Germany, and Italy? George Wright, you're itching over there. Lead the way. Why?
I think from the beginning for a manager's career to reaching a pro license or a UEFA license is quite hard in England.
Yeah.
So first you've got the costs. I mean, in Germany it's like €600 to go from bottom to the top in terms of qualifications. In England, £6,000.
£6,000.
£6,000.
They do it for 10% of the cost.
Yeah. How?
How are they so good at everything?
And the FA are wondering why there's so little coaches in England. But along with that, I think the mentality of young coaches is quite wrong. I think players, when they retire, they think they've got a divine right to immediately go into a top job.
Good point.
And I think it's really limiting their development. It's like Tony Adams. I mean, there's not much to say about him as a manager. I mean, he was terrible. But
didn't he have a win percentage of 17%?
Yeah.
Wickham
and
Portsmouth.
So bad. But Wenger gave him a chance to come back to the club, learn the trade again, learn some new ideas with the youth team. But he got a big offer from China, so he ditched that and f***ed off over there.
It's insane. It is, you're right. It's arrogance amongst players, isn't it? That former players at the Premier League.
Yeah, I think that's a decent point, mate. I reckon in England the mentality still leans towards jobs for the boys a little bit. Old players getting big jobs they're not necessarily qualified for. Alan Shearer at Newcastle springs to mind when he steered them down to the Championship. Even Southgate now in the England job, he didn't exactly do the hard yards at club level, did he?
No.
Had a mediocre stint with Middlesbrough. I know he managed under 21s and he did a lot behind the scenes at England's new training camp, but still. Anyway, the antithesis to that is probably the Bundesliga, where they actually entrust young managers. If the talent's there, they get their chance. You look at Julian Nagelsmann at Hoffenheim, even Thomas Tuchel when he was at Mainz and now at Dortmund. Both young managers bringing fresh, new, inventive ideas to the game. Didn't necessarily have top-tier careers,
Agreed.
but it's still not hampered them in terms of their career progression and what they've done for their respective clubs. And then there's Italy, where the success is obvious for all to see. 3 of Europe's top 5 leagues were won by Italians last year.
Impressive.
There's 19 Italian coaches in charge across Europe's elite leagues in comparison to England's 7. So we pale in comparison to the Italians too. And I think it's by and large because of this centralised education that they get in Italy. Yeah. They all go through the Scuola Allenatore.
Oh, mamma mia.
Apologies if my pronunciation is way off there. But that's where the only place you can get a UEFA licence in Italy, which is obviously a prerequisite to going pro, as we said before. But the likes of Allegri, Conte, Ancelotti have all passed through there. There's 50 years of footballing education there, and only now are we starting to implement something like that at St George's, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we spoke to Ted Knutson on Continental Club, who said when he did various classes there, the stuff on pressing was still very primitive, pressing, shape.
Yeah.
And he wasn't overly impressed, and he's a football analyst, so you have to take his word for it. So yeah, I think maybe a lack of trust in young managerial talent and a lack of centralised education. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's all about the money. I think the Premier League's big bucks make it too risky to employ low-level English managers. Drink in sync there. But I also think that there's a problem with B teams and second-tier teams. Obviously, across Europe, B teams play a big role. Written down here, you've got the likes of Zidane, Guardiola, Enrique, Benitez, Del Boss, all managed a B team first. There's no roots like that in England. And then second tier, do managers want to go down, like you said, it's quite an arrogance. Do they want to go down and manage in the Championship? I'm not so sure. Carlo Ancelotti did it. Antonio Conte did it in Italy. Would you see English coaches doing that now? I don't think you would. Yeah. But it all comes down to money. And like you said, £6,000 to do a UEFA A licence course. What is happening when the Premier League is getting hundreds of millions of pounds? That has to be being reinvested at some stage into the English game and bringing course fees down a bit. if it's going to be too much of a risk to employ English managers because of monetary gain, then monetary gain has to go some way to supporting English managers and grassroots football. At the moment, it's just not. So I think it's all down to money. But what do you guys at home think? Why aren't English managers succeeding at the top level? Let us know in the comments below. The next question is sent in by Nick Lee and looks like it's come from 2034. What is that on his head?
If you guys had the chance to take one player from his national team and move to another national team, who would it be and why?
Yes, he does look like my future son, but it's not.
The Shermanator, the Ginger Robocop.
What are you doing, Nick Lee? He's so aggressive as well. So aggressive in that video. But in all seriousness, who would you move and why?
Oh, mate. The obvious answers are Ronaldo and Messi, aren't they? But we'll draw a line under them. They're boring. If you're the current England manager, I think you want someone who can probably dictate, play a little bit. Maybe a Luka Modric.
Oh, that's a good shout.
Maybe we purloin Germany for Mesut Ozil, you know, so we've got someone to link our attack in midfield. Who can feed Harry Kane? Let's take Eriksen from Denmark and just whack him in the England team.
Stick him in there.
Just stick it on Kane. What about you, Georgia?
I'm going to go for another German. Tony Kroos to Spain.
Ooh.
So you have a Thiago and Kroos midfield.
They've got a lot of good midfielders though.
Yeah, but Kroos is like
Where
another
does
level.
Isco fit in that?
Wait, ahead, just ahead. You have Thiago, Kroos, Isco.
Morata. I think.
Verratti.
Ooh, Verratti would
France
do a great
have
job.
got enough, haven't they, options? They should be giving out talent.
I think I'm looking at it a slightly different way. What do teams need? I think Argentina are desperate for a centre half. So maybe I'd take something like Bonucci or Chiellini out of Italy and then shove them in that Argentinian team, because going forward Argentina are outrageous, and then at the back we've got Mascherano and Marcos Rojo and I think we can find an upgrade on one of those two.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm going to go for Chiellini to Argentina. But who would you move and why? Let us know, and let Nick Lee know in his spaceship in the comments below.
You ledge.
Next question comes from Emblo the Boss. Will Neymar ruin his career if he goes to PSG? Now, at time of filming, it's not official, but it is going to be official. 222 million euros, £500,000 per week after tax.
Ooh, 99p a second.
It's absolutely insane, but I'm going to say I don't think he's going to ruin his career. Okay, he's moving for money now, but I'm so excited to see him at PSG. And I think PSG are a lot closer to a Champions League than people think. They were minutes away from beating Barcelona, and the only reason that they didn't beat Barcelona was because Neymar.
Yeah.
They're taking Barcelona's, probably their future superstar, their second best player, some people would say, maybe battling out with Luis Suarez. If this is just the start, they could go out and start doing this each summer. Imagine the super team they're building. Their front line is Di Maria, Draxler, Neymar and Cavani. It's outrageous. In my head, it's not a huge step down like everybody's saying. Everybody in the comments will say it's a massive step down. But they were pretty close to knocking Barcelona out of the Champions League this year, and I think they'll bounce back big time in Ligue 1 as well. Now Monaco have lost some players. But Christoph, is it a career ruiner?
I agree with you in the sense that PSG are very close to the semi-final, final stage. Even 2 years prior under Laurent Blanc, when they went out to Barcelona yet again on away goals, I believe it was. They were a very good team then. Even, they had Zlatan Ibrahimovic, they had Cavani, so they still had a star-studded lineup. So with Neymar, yes, you expect him to take them up a level, but for me, as a football purist, I'm a little bit upset the MSN have split up. I think a talent like him should be testing himself in La Liga or in the Premier League rather than League. And the Liga is a great breeding ground for young talent. Yeah. Teams year in, year out pillage it for 22, 23-year-olds. For me, I don't think he's going to be a Ballon d'Or contender like people are saying, even if he does excel in Liga, because he's going to have to win those trophies outside of Liga. Zlatan Ibrahimovic was scoring 50 goals a season. He was winning trebles, going the season unbeaten in France, and he was still nowhere near it. So the Ballon d'Or argument doesn't hold up for me. I don't think it's a step up for him personally because it's an easier domestic scene. in terms of the club's image, yes, he's going to take them into the next stratosphere. You might see people in China, Japan, Korea, further afield wearing PSG shirts now. They might become more of an international brand, and this might help them, moving forward, establish themselves in new markets. But for the money they're paying, the outlay, they're going to have to win a Champions League every year to justify it. And when you win the Champions League, you only win about £50 million, which is his wages for the year, isn't it?
What do you think,
I'm
George?
not sure what the money's like in the domestic league, but
I don't know. I actually agree with Joe for once. Like I think this will put him into the next level purely because one, he's obviously out of Messi's shadow. I think that's a bit overstated, but if he leads PSG to the Champions League and then he leads Brazil to the World Cup, he has got to win the Ballon d'Or.
He has to win the Ballon d'Or.
They're two massive ifs, though, aren't they?
Yeah, but I think he is for me the third best player in the world.
Yeah.
And if there's anyone who can do it, it's probably him. I think PSG are close to what people actually think to be in. As you said, Neymar was the only reason why they got knocked out in the first place.
But Messi's still as close to leading Argentina.
Yeah, I know. I personally think Messi will probably do it.
Win the next 3 Ballon d'Ors.
Yeah, but I mean.
But you'd have to say, if Neymar won the Champions League with Barcelona and then won a World Cup with Brazil, Messi still wins the Ballon d'Or.
With PSG?
Wins the World Cup. If Neymar stayed at Barcelona and won the Champions League and then won a World Cup, Messi still wins the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
But now, if he wins the Champions League with PSG and with Brazil, he wins the Ballon d'Or, which he wouldn't have done previously.
Yeah. Okay, so what you're saying is if he'd won the World Cup with Brazil and the Champions League with Barcelona, Messi still would have won.
Messi still wins. Still wins the Ballon d'Or.
He's a World Cup winner, absolutely not. I do not. I'm not buying into that at all.
I quite like this transfer as well because it shakes up the football world a bit, and
you like it because it's anarchy.
Yeah, and
Pure
I think
footballing anarchy.
I think Barcelona deserve this to happen to them once in a while.
Oh,
because the amount of time
Two-layers are going to be going mad in the comments.
Because they probably admit themselves, the way they conduct transfers is very shady.
Yeah,
very shady. And the fact that PSG, they said, what is it that Nasser Al-Khelaifi said? You try and buy one of our players, we'll try and buy one of yours. They've been off of Ratty for
2014, he said that if a big club tries to buy one of our players, we will just take their best player in spite.
And 100 mil for Verratti, we'll have your second best player.
Yeah, exactly. Just 2 fingers up at the camera. It's such an exciting move. It's such an exciting move. But what do you guys think? Is this a career ruiner or is it a career sparker? Vote in the poll above my head here. Final question comes from AB Pro. If you were Red Bull, which English team would you take over and why? Now, obviously, they're taking over at Leipzig, they've taken over at Salzburg, a few other teams across Europe, and pumped huge money in, but also ripped out the heart and soul of the club in some cases. Fans hate them in Germany. George, RB who from you?
Leyton Orient.
Oh. RB Orient.
Why?
They're like my local team, sort of. I don't really like them, but they went for.
Do you like anything?
Positive vibes.
But they went for a torrid time anyway. Then he got liquidated, and he got wiped to the face of the earth. They could do with some happy moments.
Yeah.
Having money pumped into
their chairman's put them for a torrid time,
yeah.
The fans.
They hate their chairman as well, don't they?
So it might brighten up East London a little bit. Who knows?
Sprinkle a bit of fairy dust, bit of pond water.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for more of a sleeping giant, slightly higher level. I'm gonna go for Nottingham Forest. Main reason that I'm always them on Football Manager, but they always seem to be flirting with the playoffs, then falling away. I think last couple of seasons they've not done as well as they should have done. They've got quite a big budget already, but equally the chairman invests it very poorly. So
Henry Lansbury, great hair.
This is a side that's won back-to-back European Cups under one of the greatest managers in the history of the game in Brian Clough, and I would love to see them back in the Prem. And also, I don't know, just something about them, just something about that history of the club, and I just like RB Forest. Just kind of like the ring to it, Red Bull Forest.
Yeah, a can either side of a tree.
Yeah, can either side. Yeah, it'd be sick.
Quality. What do you mean by a sleeping giant?
Teams that should be performing and have a big stadium structure and budget.
So the size of the stadium?
Partly
it's the nature of the game that they either perform or don't perform, isn't it? Always mystifies me, that saying. Like Leeds fans, Newcastle fans, Villa fans, they all think they're a sleeping giant. You're not anymore. Get over it.
Oh.
RB Leeds.
Hated. Everybody hates Leeds as it is. Imagine sticking Red Bull in front of them.
Yeah, true that. Villa, they've already got quite a lot of cash. They've been poorly run. They don't deserve that sprinkling of fairy dust, do they? Who's a club that's just really well run in the Championship, but has not got a hope in hell of being promoted?
Hipsters' favourites, Brentford.
Yeah, I'd say maybe they outperform their budget season in, season out. Give the dosh to Brentford, see what they can do with it.
Yeah, they tried to run Moneyball for a while, didn't they? And it kind of flopped. And now they've just signed Ollie Watkins from Exeter City for £2 million. So hopefully he does well.
What about
Exeter?
What about Red Bull Dons?
Red Bull Dons, they'll do anything for money, so it's the most likely and logical
Relocating
thing.
For a third time, quality.
But who would you go for? Who would you rebrand? RB, Red Bull? Let us know in the comments below right now. So that's all we've got time for on this episode of Sunday Vibes. If you want to be involved next week, get your comments in with your question using the hashtag Sunday Vibes right now. Thanks so much to George for joining me, Christopher Hamill and his shirt as well. And also, make sure you head over to Soccer AM before you do anything else and check out their Carling show, Win the League, with Patrick Van Straan and Danny Mills this week. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Neymar ruin his career if he goes.
Oh, the old T-Rex is back.
PSG.
That is ridiculous.
Jesus. Right, that's gone now.